Something shocking just hit 3I Atlas. No one expected this. NASA's telescopes just caught something impossible. An interstellar comet behaving like it's alive. 3I Atlas was supposed to be silent ice and dust, but now it's pulsing, shifting course, and sending signals no one can explain. Scientists are terrified, observatories are on full alert, and what they've discovered might change everything we know about the universe. A cosmic surprise, it started as a subtle twitch in the data, barely noticeable against the quiet hum of NASA's monitoring systems. 3I Atlas, the interstellar comet that had already fascinated astronomers for years, was behaving in ways no one expected. Its trajectory, previously predictable, began to shift ever so slightly, while its brightness pulsed in irregular, inexplicable patterns. At first, the anomaly seemed trivial, a sensor glitch perhaps, or a miscalculation. But as more data streamed in, the anomaly could no longer be ignored. Within hours, observatories around the world reported the same phenomenon. From Chile's high-altitude telescopes to Hawaii's Mauna Kea arrays, from radio dishes in New Mexico to advanced arrays in the Canary Islands, instruments confirmed a startling truth. 3I Atlas was moving in ways that defied physics as applied to interstellar objects. Its subtle shifts were precise, deliberate almost, while its brightness flickered like a heartbeat, one that no natural mechanism could explain. In control rooms at NASA, analysts leaned closer to their screens, disbelief etched on every face. Graphs, trajectories, and light curves twisted into patterns that contradicted everything previously understood. The initial thrill of discovery gave way to unease. This was no ordinary comet. Its behavior suggested a complexity, perhaps even a form of intelligence, that challenged centuries of observation and modeling. Global alerts followed. Teams of astronomers, physicists, and engineers connected across continents, sharing encrypted data streams and running simulations in real time. Each calculation revealed another layer of impossibility. The comet's velocity changes did not match predictions. Its outgassing appeared almost intentional, and its pulses hinted at hidden patterns. The more they observed, the less 3I Atlas resembled a simple interstellar traveler. As news quietly reached the public through cautious press releases, curiosity turned into fascination and awe. People began to look to the night sky, unaware of the invisible patterns hidden within the comet's motion and light. For scientists, however, the stakes were higher. They were witnessing a cosmic visitor whose behavior hinted at secrets beyond comprehension. Atlas continued its silent voyage. A lone traveler from the stars carrying mysteries that could reshape humanity's understanding of the universe. Its subtle shifts and flickering light were more than anomalies. They were a message, a puzzle, a challenge, daring humanity to notice and to question the very nature of the cosmos. And for the first time in history, the world began to pay attention. The first analysis, as the anomaly of 3I Atlas, spread across the scientific community. Teams at NASA, the European Space Agency, and observatories around the world mobilized with unprecedented urgency. Every available instrument was turned toward the comet. Optical telescopes tracked its faint glimmer against the star-strewn sky. Radio arrays listened for the faintest emissions, and spectrometers dissected the light reflected from its icy surface. The results were startling. The comet's motion was inconsistent with all known physics governing interstellar objects. Its velocity fluctuated subtly yet precisely, defying the predictable gravitational influences of the sun and planets. Outgassing, normally a natural driver of cometary movement, could not account for the rhythmic shifts detected across multiple observation points. Each new measurement added layers of complexity, forcing scientists to revisit assumptions and recalculate models in real time. Even more perplexing were the emissions recorded across the electromagnetic spectrum. Low-level radiation pulsed intermittently from the comet, showing structured patterns rather than random noise. The spectrographic data revealed subtle harmonics, oscillations that hinted at order, a rhythm that suggested design, or at least an intelligence embedded in motion and light. For the first time, researchers realized they were not merely observing a comet, but a phenomenon that could not be fully explained by conventional astrophysics. Teams worked in shifts around the clock, comparing data, simulating trajectories, and exploring every possible natural cause. Could it be a collision with interstellar debris, a gravitational interaction with an unknown rogue planet, or a previously undetected class of cosmic phenomena? Every hypothesis faltered under scrutiny. The more they studied 3I Atlas, the clearer it became. This was not an ordinary interstellar visitor. The realization settled over observatories like a quiet storm. Analysts whispered of patterns that resembled communication, of movement too precise to be random. Though caution tempered speculation, the seeds of a radical possibility were planted. Perhaps 3I Atlas was more than a wanderer of the void. Perhaps it carried information, intentionally or not, encoded in the very way it moved and emitted energy. By the end of the first intense days of study, one fact was undeniable. 3I Atlas was extraordinary. It was not simply a comet. It was a puzzle, a challenge to everything humanity thought it knew about interstellar physics. And in the quiet of observatories worldwide, a single unspoken question hung in the air. What was this visitor really, and what had it come to show us? Shockwaves. Across the scientific community, the moment the anomaly of 3I Atlas was confirmed, it sent tremors through the global scientific network. Emails, encrypted messages, and emergency conference calls surged between observatories in Europe, North America, and Asia. Within hours, theorists, astrophysicists, and aerospace engineers were debating a question that had never been posed in the history of modern astronomy. What exactly was 3I Atlas, and how could it behave this way? Initial discussions focused on natural explanations. Some scientists pointed to gravitational microeffects, subtle distortions caused by massive objects or interstellar debris. Others suggested a rogue planet, or perhaps a minor collision with an unseen fragment in deep space. Each theory was tested meticulously, modeled and simulated across supercomputers worldwide. Yet no combination of natural forces could replicate the comet's precise trajectory fluctuations, rhythmic emissions, and synchronized brightness pulses. The anomaly stubbornly resisted every conventional explanation. Private conversations between senior researchers became tense and almost conspiratorial. Words previously reserved for science fiction, artificial, intelligent, interstellar interference, began circulating quietly. One astrophysicist wrote cautiously in a private forum, "If these patterns are artificial, we are witnessing something that challenges every assumption about life and intelligence in the universe." Another replied, almost half-jokingly, "Or nature has evolved ways we cannot yet comprehend. Either way, we are not prepared." Skepticism remained strong, but the evidence continued to accumulate. Independent observations confirmed the velocity shifts, emission pulses, and harmonic patterns. The comet's behavior was consistent across hemispheres and observation platforms. It was not an error nor a fluke. 3I Atlas was real, and it was extraordinary. Debates spilled into online forums, virtual conferences, and social media threads frequented by amateur astronomers and professionals alike. Each new hypothesis, each model only added tension to the growing sense of unease. Some researchers speculated about cosmic intelligence, while others feared misinterpretation of phenomena that were ultimately natural. The comet had become a mirror, reflecting both humanity's curiosity and its limits of understanding. By the end of the week, the scientific community realized that 3I Atlas was more than a comet. It was a phenomenon that defied conventional astrophysics and hinted at something far larger and stranger than anyone had anticipated. In private, many acknowledged the unsettling possibility. Humanity was witnessing an event that might forever challenge the boundary between natural law and intelligence in the cosmos. And as discussions raged, the comet continued its silent journey, a distant messenger carrying secrets that no one could yet decode, forcing the world to confront the unimaginable. Global observatories mobilize as the reality of 3I Atlas's anomaly settled in. A remarkable global effort was set in motion. Observatories from every continent recalibrated instruments, interrupting planned research to focus entirely on the enigmatic comet. Radio arrays, optical telescopes, infrared sensors, and space-based observatories all aligned their attention, creating an unprecedented, coordinated effort to capture every detail of this interstellar visitor. Data flowed in torrents. Observatories in Chile and Hawaii triangulated its position with extraordinary precision, while radio telescopes across North America and Europe scanned for faint emissions. Satellite-based instruments monitored subtle thermal variations, seeking clues to internal activity invisible from Earth. Every pulse, every flicker, every fragment became a potential key to understanding the anomaly. It wasn't long before new mysteries emerged. Observers detected secondary phenomena trailing the comet. Tiny fragments, almost imperceptible against the cosmic backdrop, seemed to follow its path with uncanny synchronicity. Pulses of energy flickered outward, measurable across multiple wavelengths. Magnetometers aboard orbiting satellites recorded minor anomalies, fields shifting in ways that suggested structure rather than randomness. Each of these observations hinted at a complexity beyond anything seen in known interstellar objects. Scientists worked in near-perfect coordination, sharing real-time data across time zones and hemispheres. Teams simulated countless scenarios, gravitational interactions, collisions with unseen debris, and even exotic natural phenomena. But the more they studied, the less the comet conformed to expectations. Its fragments moved in patterns that suggested intentional spacing. Its energy pulses carried harmonic signatures, and its magnetic anomalies seemed structured, almost as if the comet itself was an organized system, rather than a simple collection of ice and rock. The global effort was not just a technical marvel. It was a human one. Researchers worked through long nights, their eyes glued to screens displaying streams of data, simulations running in parallel, and spectrograms showing rhythms invisible to the naked eye. Every discovery, no matter how subtle, fed both excitement and unease. Through it all, 3I Atlas continued its silent journey, drifting toward the inner solar system. The comet was no longer merely a visitor. It had become a signal in the night, a puzzle that demanded humanity's full attention. The world watched, scientists calculated, and every passing hour deepened the sense that something extraordinary and possibly unprecedented was unfolding in real time. Theories that defy understanding, as data continued to pour in from observatories worldwide. Scientists grappled with explanations that stretched the limits of imagination and physics. Every trajectory shift, every pulsing emission, and every subtle magnetic fluctuation demanded an answer, yet none fit neatly into known science. The anomaly was not just unusual, it was profoundly confounding. One leading hypothesis considered gravitational microevents. Perhaps 3I Atlas had passed through a localized distortion in space-time, subtle warps caused by unseen masses or dark matter structures. The idea was compelling, but simulations quickly exposed flaws. While microevents could account for small velocity deviations, they could not explain the synchronized pulses of energy or the harmonic patterns emerging from the comet's emissions. The mystery deepened. Another possibility involved interstellar collisions. Could 3I Atlas have encountered fragments, asteroids, or debris clouds in deep space, subtly altering its motion? The theory was plausible in principle, yet the comet's behavior remained far too precise, too rhythmic to be the result of random impacts. Collisions would introduce chaos, not the structured anomalies observed across multiple wavelengths. A third, more radical hypothesis posited advanced natural phenomena, processes beyond current scientific understanding. Perhaps the comet contained exotic materials or internal dynamics generated previously unknown electromagnetic effects. While this theory allowed some flexibility, it remained speculative, offering no definitive mechanism and leaving crucial questions unanswered. Through each discussion, one reality became undeniable. 3i Atlas challenged the very foundations of astrophysics, physics, and mathematics. Existing models failed to account for its motion, emissions, and synchronized behavior. Scientists found themselves forced to consider concepts once relegated to theory: subtle manipulations of gravitational fields, harmonic energy patterns, and even unknown forces shaping cosmic bodies. The anomaly illuminated the limits of human understanding. Was this a natural phenomenon yet to be discovered, or something more deliberate, something intelligence-driven beyond comprehension? Each new theory offered pieces of the puzzle, but never the complete picture. For researchers, the uncertainty was both frustrating and exhilarating. Atlas was no longer merely an interstellar comet. It was a cosmic enigma, a riddle challenging centuries of scientific knowledge and daring humanity to rethink its assumptions about the universe. The more they explored, the clearer it became. The comet's secrets were not easily revealed. They demanded patience, ingenuity, and perhaps a willingness to confront the impossible. Hidden signals in the darkness as 3i Atlas continued its approach toward the inner solar system, a startling discovery emerged. High-resolution spectroscopy, paired with deep space radio observations, revealed faint, structured signals emanating from the comet. At first, the patterns were subtle, barely perceptible ripples against the background noise of space. But meticulous analysis confirmed what initial excitement had suggested. These signals were not random. They carried a rhythm, a consistency that implied order where chaos should have prevailed. Scientists approached the findings with caution. Instrument error, interference from solar activity, or cosmic background noise could explain some anomalies, but repeated measurements across independent observatories confirmed the signal's authenticity. The harmonics persisted, echoing in precise intervals, detectable across multiple wavelengths. It was as if 3i Atlas had a heartbeat, an internal cadence encoded in light and radiation, silently pulsing across the void. The implications were profound. Could a natural phenomenon produce such regularity? Traditional cometary physics, outgassing, rotational modulation, or solar radiation pressure could not account for the structured emissions. The patterns suggested a complexity that bordered on intentionality, a design embedded in motion and energy. Even the most cautious researchers began to whisper the impossible: artificial origin. Debates intensified behind closed doors. Skeptics cautioned against leaping to conclusions, emphasizing the danger of projecting human interpretation onto cosmic phenomena. Yet others argued that the signals were too precise, too consistent to be purely natural. Every pulse, every harmonic ratio was analyzed, simulated, and cross-referenced with models, yet none could fully explain the anomaly. The comet was behaving as though it were conveying information, but information of what and to whom remained a mystery. Across observatories and research labs, tension and curiosity intertwined. Scientists felt the rare thrill of witnessing the universe hint at intelligence while simultaneously grappling with the limits of their understanding. Atlas had become more than an interstellar visitor. It was a messenger in the darkness, pulsing silently, challenging humanity to decipher a code it may not yet be ready to understand. The comet drifted on, indifferent to observation, leaving one undeniable truth. The universe was speaking in a language we had only just begun to hear, and 3i Atlas was its enigmatic herald. Humanity watches the sky. When 3i Atlas finally crossed the threshold of visibility, the world looked up together. For the first time in decades, a celestial event united billions of eyes toward a single point of light streaking across the heavens. It began faintly, a shimmering trace barely distinguishable from the stars. But night after night, it grew brighter, more distinct, its tail stretching like a silver scar through the darkness. Social media erupted. Images flooded every platform. Long exposure photographs, shaky smartphone captures, and live streams from backyard telescopes. News anchors spoke with a mixture of awe and unease. To the public, it was a cosmic spectacle, a gift from the stars. To scientists, it was something far more complex, a phenomenon that refused to conform to natural expectation. Amateur astronomers became unexpected collaborators, feeding thousands of independent observations into open databases. Across continents, people noticed something unusual, subtle fluctuations in brightness that seemed to pulse at rhythmic intervals. Those pulses matched the pattern scientists had quietly tracked for weeks. It was as if the comet itself were breathing, emitting signals too faint for most to detect, yet undeniable to those watching closely. In laboratories and mission control centers, the mood was electric yet tense. Researchers worked under the weight of a growing realization. The closer 3I Atlas came, the stranger it became. Its magnetic footprint fluctuated, its light curve grew more complex, and new fragments seemed to appear and vanish without clear cause. Every hour brought new data and new questions. Outside, the public narrative was one of beauty and wonder. People gathered on rooftops, beaches, and deserts to watch the celestial traveler glide silently through the night. But beneath the collective fascination, a quiet unease was spreading. What was truly inside that dazzling object? As the comet blazed brighter than ever, it became more than a spectacle. It became a symbol of curiosity, of fear, of humanity's smallness against the infinite. And while the world marveled, a few scientists could not shake a deeper truth. Beauty in the cosmos often hides the most unsettling secrets. The unsettling conclusion. Weeks of relentless observation brought clarity and unease. The data was undeniable. 3I Atlas moved with a precision no natural object should possess. Its radiation pulses followed mathematical ratios, its path curved with deliberate elegance, and its energy emissions displayed modulation, a pattern resembling intention. Yet, despite the mounting evidence, no one could define what that intention was. Some scientists clung to natural explanations, desperate to anchor the mystery in familiar ground. Others quietly admitted what they feared to say aloud, that intelligence might not belong solely to biological life. Perhaps, somewhere beyond human reach, the universe had developed a different kind of awareness woven into ice, dust, and radiation. As 3D Atlas receded back into the dark, fading beyond the outer planets, the world was left with more questions than answers. Was it a cosmic accident, an ancient messenger, or a phenomenon beyond comprehension? In the end, the comet's silence spoke louder than any signal. It left humanity with a haunting,